Good evening, Brown Deer community. I would like to call this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Verification of public notice. Our meeting tonight has been properly noticed. Verification of a quorum. We have 6 board members here this evening. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda this evening? So moved. So moved by Felita Daniels Ashley. Seconded by Lisa Walker. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? 6-0. Motion carries. Motion carries. All right, we will move on to the reading of the mission and vision statement. Our mission statement is through the lens of excellence, equity, and engagement. We are dedicated to empowering every student with the essential skills to build a foundation for lifelong learning. And our vision is to provide a rigorous education that empowers our students to confidently navigate in our ever-changing world. Moving to item number 2 on the agenda, election of board president. Are there any nominations from the floor for board president?
Dr. Kelsey Brown, I would like to nominate Dr. Todd Vito, again, for another position as board president.
I would like to second that motion. I don't think we need a second. We don't need a second. No. But just, are there any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor for board president? All right. So, all in favor of Dr. Beadle serving as board president for the 24-25 school year, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, 6-0, motion carried. All right, Dr. Beadle, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. And board members, I appreciate you having confidence in my leadership as being board president again for another year. Thank you very much. Now, what I'd like to be able to discuss right now is our candidate for our board vacancy. Okay. So right now, Mr. Goodwin, who actually ran in the election, who won his seat, has declined the position because of personal reasons. And with that being said, for continuity for the board, as we continue to finish out the remainder of the school year, I would like to be able to have Anita Peterson continue to serve on the board until the end of the school year, till June. And then what we'll do is we will have have individuals, we'll put out a process, individuals will be able to send in their resumes. And what we'll do is we'll do interviews as a board for the board vacancy for that seat that will continue out for the remainder of that year until the next election cycle. Okay. With that being said, I'd like to be able to, well, again, would someone like to make a motion for Anita Peterson being back on the board to finish out the remainder of the 24 academic school year?
I'd like to make that motion.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Daniels Ashley. Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Ms. Makin, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none. Ms. Peterson, would you graciously accept that position as board member? Come back and take your seat.
To the O.
Oh, we gotta do the oath real quick? All right, here we go. Oh, we get to take a photo out. Oh, see, I gotta make sure I get my good side. You. In front of the flag, please, ma'am. Let me see. Okay. I, Anita Peterson,
Anita Peterson,
have been elected or appointed to
have been elected or appointed to
the office of Board of Education,
the office of Board of Education,
School District of Brown Deer,
School District of Brown Deer,
but have not yet
entered upon duties thereof, swear
that I will
support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and I will faithfully discharge
the
duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God.
So help me God.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. All right. I appreciate you doing that. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Now let's move on to our next order of business. And I will, again, just for clarification, I will be putting that out, and it will go out on the Brown Deer website and our other places where we publicize our Brown Deer School Board meetings, and be able to put that information out there. Okay? All right. So now let's go on to our board vacancy, election of our other officers, election of vice president. All right.
I'd like to make a motion, to,
Business nomination.
I'm gonna nominate. I'm gonna nominate our current, Vice President, Dorinthia Robinson,
Okay.
Vice President.
All right. Anyone else? Any other nominations? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none. Would you graciously accept the position of Vice President of the School District of Brown Deer Board of Education?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. All right. All right. Election of Treasurer. All right. Yep, 7-0. Okay. All right. Would someone like to make a nomination for the treasurer position?
Dr. Vito, I'd like to make a nomination.
Nomination.
To elect, the nominate, no. Nominate, Miss Anita Peterson for the position of treasurer.
All right. Any other nominations? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor would raise hand and or aye. Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none. Ms. Peterson, would you accept the position of treasurer while we'll continue on the board?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. All right, congratulations, Ms. Peterson. And election of our board clerk.
No.
Would someone like to make a nomination?
I will nominate our current clerk, Ms. Lolita Daniels Ashley.
All right, a nomination has been made. Do we have any other nominations? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none. Ms. Daniels Ashley, would you graciously accept the position of board clerk? Thank you very much. All right. So now we have our election of officers. Now let's go on to our district communications. Oh, I do want to say this. We do have public comments tonight. If anyone would like to make a public comment, it would need to be an item that's part of our agenda. And remember, it is a comment and it's not a question. So again, and if you are to be able to do that, you are to state your name and your address. And you have a maximum of 3 minutes for your comments. And we will be, for those that are in the audience, you will stand, of course, and those that potentially are online, you will have to do something. You have to put it in the chat, all right, to be recognized. Okay? All right. So now let's go on to our district communication. Dr. Kelsey Brown.
Good evening, board members and community members. Before I get started with the district administrator's report, I would like to, we have a staff member I'd like to recognize this evening. Her name is Samantha Stoker. There's Samantha right there.
Okay.
It is appropriate for us to recognize Samantha this evening. She has been awarded the Herb Cole Educational Foundation Grant. Ms. Stoker was one of 100 Wisconsin teachers chosen for the 2024 Herb Cole Education Foundation Teacher Fellowship Grant. The fellowship was awarded to teachers nominated for their leadership and service in and out of the classroom, their ability to inspire a love of learning and to motivate their students. If anyone has seen Ms. Stoker in action over in the maker space, she does amazing work with our students. So we'd like to say congratulations to Ms. Stoker for this honorable award. And with that, she received $6,000 from the Herb Cole Foundation, either for her own professional learning or to purchase supplies in her class. So,
All right. Excellent. Excellent.
so wanted to recognize her this evening.
Is she on?
She watched the after school program too, so she might.
Could you check to see and stuff? Because I would love to hear a few words from her.
I wonder if that's her with the
I
iPhone.
think that might be iPhone B.
Okay.
Sam, if you're online, I know she might be at dinner. So she didn't
She
get
said she
the
was
note
trying to get
that she
on the
was being honored, but I did talk to her this afternoon. She said she was most grateful. So hopefully, yeah. So maybe we'll have to have her back. So
Yeah, please.
I encourage you to come and visit her. She's right in the library there. She's in the maker space, and and come in and see what she does. She's absolutely.
She's one of our media specialists.
No, so
Make a
she's a
space.
STEM teacher.
A STEM teacher, okay.
She's a STEM teacher, yeah.
Alright.
So this is her second year in the district and she's absolutely phenomenal. So,
Last year, when she took the kids out to the, what's over here?
Badger Meter Park.
What's the name of it?
Badger Meter Park.
Badger Meter Park. Fox News did the, little snippet on, that's her.
Perfect. Lisa, you got good news?
No, I don't know.
Oh,
Nothing. I was just, I was see what she wanted. So.
oh, okay, all right. I was about to give some good news. All right, thank you very much.
So, that's, just wanted to recognize Samantha today. As far as the district administrators, report, we have our May PL Day coming up where we are recognizing our retirees, and saying farewells to our staff for the end of the year. So if you are able to stop by on May 17th, that will be wonderful. We also raffle items, gifts to our staff. What time is that? Let me send you an email. I want to say we start lunch at 11. Do I have that right?
Say where it is again.
The North Commons.
Oh, it's here.
It's here on
What
campus.
day again?
It's a Friday.
Yes, it's a Friday, May 17th.
Friday, May 17th?
It's our normal PL day.
Okay.
It's about 11 o'clock.
So when did you close? Oh, shit, I won't be here. I'm ready to.
This is our regular May PL day, where we recognize our retirees, and showcase a lot of the work that we've done, throughout the year that day.
What time?
We start at 11, I believe. Donna, if you would just send the board a calendar invite so they can have it. So we have lunch and then we do the celebration right after that.
Excellent.
Then I participated in the Ed Foundation meeting, yesterday, helping out with the graduation meeting, making sure our logistics are all in order for graduation. Donna has been working closely with Dr. Cotton's office to solidify dates, for her to come on campus and meet staff. So we're still trying to iron those dates out.
To give you another piece of clarification, or information and stuff, and having a conversation with Dr. Cotton. She's also gonna do a video that she'll be able to send, she's gonna send out to staff as well too, and into the community as well too.
We are participating, tomorrow's the closing achievement gap. Sorry, the CISA Career Fair is tomorrow at, Wauwatosa School District. And so, I want to thank Dr. Glass, Ms. Ramos, Dakota, Amanda, Jason Savala, Ms. Kirschman, and Mr. Woods, who will be, on site tomorrow to recruit, for recruiting teachers to our district. We are moving along with hiring, so in a good place as far as that's concerned. You'll see a couple of individuals on the agenda tonight for hiring. We also are in the throes of the Act 20 literacy legislation that is coming forth, or not coming forth, is here. And so Dr. Glass and our literacy coordinator have created opportunities for teachers to review curricula in the buildings last week. And teachers have an opportunity to review the curricula as well. And we will be sending a letter to our parents, helping them understand Act 20 and the curriculum materials that we have looked at so far.
Share that information with the board.
The letter?
The information, or can I review the curriculum?
Yes, so the letter, we can share the letter with you, and all the links are on the letter where you can just click on the different materials. You're welcome. We attended Rotary on Monday with Ms. Ramos. And finally, I will be out a couple days the week, probably 2 to 4 days the week of May 8th. My daughter's graduating from law school and I have family.
Congratulations.
So I will not be here for some of those days, but that's what we're working on. Things are moving forward, and going well so far.
Excellent news.
If there are any questions I can answer, I'd be happy to do so.
Any questions, board members? All right. let's go on to our next item. Our next item is public comments. Again, I will make a statement. Individuals that would like to be able to be heard. It is a comment and it has to be a subject area that is part of our this evening's agenda. You have 3 minutes. You need to state your name and your address in order to be recognized. So whether you're in person and or on the chat, if you are online, you need to go into the chat and put your name and your address and your comment. Do we have anyone that has chimed into the chat? Anybody that's here in public would like to make a comment? We will give that another 30 seconds. As usual, we always want to be give individuals opportunity because sometimes we know how trying to do things on the internet kind of work. So we will give them another moment. Anything? All right, we'll give it another 15 seconds. All right, we'll go on to our next item number 7, consent agenda. Would someone like to make a motion?
Dr. Beagle, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the March 19th, 2024 regular board meeting, the schedule of voucher payments via check, ACH, and wire transfers in the amount of $1,521,467.58 in the general checking account and the food service account, including Fund 10, 21, 27, 39, 47, 49, 50, 72, and 80 in the April 23rd, 2024 school safety drill update as presented tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Daniels. Ashley, all right, would someone like to make them a second? Ms. Macon has seconded. Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Yes.
On the safety drill report, am I reading this correctly in that we have not done a lockdown drill? Is there a reason why we still haven't done it?
We have not prepared ourselves quite yet for one, and we are, as a team, talking about doing one very shortly here.
Okay.
Last year we got lucky, not lucky, but we had a couple of incidences that did with the swatting that counted as those, and then we did do a search. But our team, we're trying to roll out Raptor and taking the attendance and getting teachers some practice to make those effective experiences. So, but it is on slate for May for sure.
And I asked the question because we are required to do 2 a year, right? And the drills are there just in case so that we are prepared. And it's just a bit concerning that we're to the last month of school and no drill has happened. Because we do want to make sure that folks are prepared in the event that something does actually go wrong.
And so have we done one this year at all?
We have done holds, numerous holds. So, and then we've done, our other, like our fire drills as well. And then, but in terms of the actual lockdowns, I don't think we've done 2.
But we're gonna do 2 the last month of school.
We'll do one.
Either one in May and one in June. Way early in June to get out and set.
So we're gonna do 2 at the end of the school year.
Correct.
All right, and so everything that we did during the school year, all of the other lockdowns and everything, those do not count.
The medical hold does not. But we've been trying to get everything in place so that we are 100% prepared for this. And it's been, so we feel that we're getting more prepared for having a successful lockdown instead of chaotic.
Okay, so let me dig a little bit deeper. Because this isn't new. So what is the blocker for building prepared if it's something that we've done before?
Well, part of it is, again, it's incorporating Raptor in it with the attendance piece. When we had the lockdowns last year, when they were, actual lockdowns because of incidents or threats of incidents, you're basically just having kids stay in classrooms. And that's all. I mean, and you can do that, and sure, that has some benefit, but the other part is making sure the teachers are all set up and that the Raptor interface can be used to actually take attendance and make sure all students are accounted for. That's not something we had in place last year, and so we were trying to make sure that is all up and running. We've done several drills with staff to make sure they're doing it, but we're also working through making sure they're understanding what to do and they're doing it correctly. Because again, our point, I think this time around, is to do the drill where we do it with fidelity with attendance fees, not just closed classrooms and kids inside. Because that would count as a drill, but it doesn't really get us to the next level of what we want to do from an accountability standpoint.
We'd definitely like to see that happen earlier in the year, next year. And concerning in that we're not prepared to even do a drill. So if something were to happen, then that means we're not prepared, right? So, all right. My question.
All right, so Matt, those are getting ready to happen though, right?
Correct.
Any other questions, board members? Relationship to anything that came through the consent agenda? Consent, all in favor would raise hand and or aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent, motion carries unanimously 7-0. All right, let's go on to our next item is should be our business office updates, our business office report. Sorry.
Good evening. Yep, good evening, everyone. I'll be talking a lot tonight, so I'll make this part short. Real briefly, the membership audit has been completed. It's in the hands of the auditors. I haven't seen the report yet, so we're still waiting for their part to finalize it and send it on to us and to the BPI. They would expect it to happen any day now, but that has been completed. On Friday, the BDA announced they did, so last week, the board negotiating committee and BDA came to a tentative agreement for the 24-25 collective bargaining. BDA ratified it by Friday. Hopefully you guys will approve that tonight as well, and then we'll be done with that for the 24-25 school year. We're very excited about that. And then we will have a conversation shortly regarding the salary increase for the rest of the support staff, rest of the staff, including administrators, support, and custodians. And then this will take just a moment, but I wanted to at least get it on the board's radar. Because the subject of the Algonquin property has come back. Dr. Brown, Matt, and I met with the village last week for some other things, and they did. I was working with Tyler Burkhardt, and he did share that there are a couple of potential development opportunities that there are people looking potential of using that property in that development, if the board is interested in pursuing something like that. So.
And that's us selling the property. All right.
Right, and it would be at a fair market value. It wouldn't be for $1 or anything like that. What they're basically looking at right now is for some direction from the district to see if that's something that we would want to do or consider, depending if it's the price is right kind of thing, or depending on the situation. There may be certain developments you'd be more in favor of than others. You'd have full say on that. So I just wanted to throw that out there to let you know that topic is starting to brew. There are no formal development plans yet for the property. So I think basically what the village is looking at is that if the board is not interested at all, then letting them know so that the developers don't continue the plans trying to incorporate the property in that. Or if there is potential interest, well then, yeah, go ahead and let them do it, and then you can kind of see what might come of the discussion. The only thing that, and I mentioned in the memo, that I guess the thing that we would need to decide as a district is, what is our plan in the event we ever needed to expand beyond our current building. So we know that the elementary school is kind of at its maximum physical size. We also know it has a lot of kids in it, so I'm not sure I would want to, if I could, I don't know that I want to add additional space there. The middle high school, we have more options if we decided to add on to either portion of that. This building is not in the greatest of shape, and at some point, may need to have something happen, but we're pretty much landlocked now with the three corners that we're in here. There is the possibility of maybe using some underused athletic field space, either 55th Street or potentially like in front of the middle school. I mean, you could look at other areas that we could potentially build if we needed to build a smaller building. Like I said, either you do like an early childhood center that might be K-4.
But I was sitting there thinking, well, what if we did that potentially at the old Algonquin site?
Well, you could do that, but then you'd want to hold on to the property. So that's the question. Yeah. So I mean, and none of that is imminent, but the question is where do you feel comfortable having a safety valve of that? So
Well, Kevin, let's do this, all right? Instead of keep going, find out what fair market value is, go how many acres that we do have and the potential price that we would be looking at for the property itself. And then get that back to us for we us to be able to look at that. And if we did do something like that, what fund would that fall under? Where would those dollars actually go? Where would they actually go?
it would go into fund 10, but you could direct it, for anything. I mean, you're not looking, I mean, it's not going to be millions of dollars.
Well, of course not, but-
It'll be, I think the last time we had it appraised, which was in the 2010s early, it might have been like $300,000 or something like that. So it's probably appreciated, 455 maybe. We can work with the village to see what that might look like for that 9-acre site. But again, so the question would be like, even if it was $500,000 or $600,000, is that worth the not having that if you wanted to do something somewhere? So I think that's a larger question, because it would be, sure, it'd be a one-time windfall. It would certainly, you could use it for some project or use it to put in the fund balance or whatever the board wanted to do. But then you've lost the ability of having that property. If you feel comfortable with what our options are, on our block, then that may be fine. But that's, again, I think that's a conversation we haven't really talked about. And so I just wanted to get it out there on your radar, but I can certainly follow up with the village and get an approximate estimate of what that might look like. But I do think the larger conversation is whether or not that property, whether you want to hold on to that property or not.
Okay.
Well, I
Sounds good.
think more detail that would be needed though, even with having that, detail that would be needed and making that determination would be, okay, if we were to do something here in front of the middle school, what size could it be? And approximate how much might that cost for development? If we were to do something there, what size could it be? What would be the cost? Those are also going to be important in that comparison to be able to determine if the sale would be worth it.
But how can we decide on something if we don't know who would go there? Right now, we don't need it. And I mean, if we don't need something, I don't know what would the discussion be, in my opinion.
We did talk about this place moving though at one time.
Yeah.
We talked about this building needing so much work.
I think there's advantages to having everything on one campus. And when you move it over there, it's not on one campus now. Families have to drive to two places and it causes problems. It does. So having everything on one campus would be very advantageous. And if we have space here, I don't know why we would need that space. It's just my opinion.
That's valid, but in order to make an informed decision, those type of details would be needed versus to just say, nope, we don't want it, or nope, we don't need it. Or, yeah, that's a
I get what
good
you're saying,
deal.
but how big of a building would we need for what students? You don't know the answer to that.
Well,
Right?
again, I think we're kind of in this,
Right, just a generic size, you don't know who would go there.
right.
It seems like that's
But you need information.
Well, again, not to be, keep belaboring this thing or whatever have you. Let's get the preliminary discussion piece or whatever. I think we're a long way away from some of these other discussion pieces on this or whatever. I think like for me, it was just the biggest thing is he's talking about fair market value. What exactly is fair market value?
Yeah, exactly.
And trying to figure that part out. And then from there, I think our discussions potentially move forward because now the village has to let us know if there's anybody that's really interested in really even doing this or whatever. So again, this is very, very, very preliminary. I'm quite sure we'll get into some very robust conversations as this thing continues to roll itself out if it does happen.
Yeah, I don't think the village is expecting formalized plans, I think, till toward the end of the year. I think that's what Tyler said. So you won't have anything like concrete of what potential uses could be and whether those, because the other question is, what is the use if it's a development that involves housing? Then you might be giving, you're selling the land to something that's going to increase the student population and then you may force your hand on doing something. But again, we don't know the specific details of what that would look like. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you,
So the
Kevin.
first step is finding the value.
I'll find out some fair market value and we can even reach out to our, just architect just to see like what the footprint size would be of in certain areas where what we could build with certain things. Obviously, the one issue we have is we do have kind of a floodplain over here with the creek and stuff, so we can't get as close to the soccer field, but we do have the middle school soccer field down here that potentially could be, eliminated and, we could shift that, those activities up to the one on Bradley potentially. So we have to talk about that, but we'll certainly look and see what the options might be.
Yeah, all those discussions will take us right back to what we wish we could have been able to keep that library. But, okay, Kevin, next.
All right, that's it for my, that's it for my update. I did include the treasurer's report as well. There's nothing particularly to report. Everything's tracking as we're expecting. Nothing really changed. So we'll have some more conversations regarding the budget that kind of go back to what's happening this year. But it's fun to share that with you tomorrow.
Any board members have any questions in relationship to Kevin and the financials that he presented to us? Like I said before, I know I looked at it, I didn't see anything. Anita said she looked at it, didn't see anything that made your eye go, hey, wait a minute, we probably need to have a conversation. I asked a question. Anybody else? No. Okay. All right, Kevin.
Okay, sounds good. That's it for the business office report.
All right. Let's go on to our next one, approval of new hires.
Okay, we have one new hire this evening to approve. We have Deacon Taylor, who has been hired, they're very excited about this, has been hired as the middle high school library media specialist for 24-25.
All right. So would someone like to make a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the hiring of Keegan Taylor as a library media specialist for the 2024-25 school year.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Peterson. Motion has been made. We have a second.
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Walker, your second. All right. Motion has been, any discussion? You can see that all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You can see none. Motion carries unanimously, and we welcome Keegan. And so Ms. Turner can stop smiling from ear to ear now or whatever.
We're so lucky. She's going to be great, but the fact that we're doing this in April, sweet Jesus. Versus like August 31st or for Katie Albrecht's like end of September. So I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.
All right. Let's go on to our next item, 8C, approval of resignations.
We do have two resignations this evening, both of them are at the middle school. Matthew Strand, who's been our middle school 8th grade social studies teacher, and Brian Vienendahl, who is a 6th grade science teacher. Brian's been with the district for
Okay. All right.
both effective in the school year.
All right. And so immediate. Okay. So both in the science department, well, science and social studies. Okay. All right. Okay. So would someone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the resignation of Brian Vienendahl as a middle school science teacher and also the resignation of Matthew Strand as a middle school social studies teacher, both effective June 7th, 2024.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. Motion made. We have a second.
I will second.
Thank you much, Ms. Peterson. Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? You can see none. All in favor will raise hand and or aye. Any opposed? You can see that. Motion carries unanimously 7-0. We wish Brian and Matthew much success after June 7th, after him leaving the district and going on. And good luck in future endeavors. And as we always say, once a Falcon, always a Falcon. All right, let's go on to our next item is the approval of the 24-25 food service vendor agreement.
Yes, my long nightmare is over. Business managers, I think one of the least fun things that they do is have to go with food service RFPs every 5 years. But the process has been completed and come to its natural end. I gave in the executive summary, I kind of re-explained the process that we've been in touch over the several months that has been going on. I do want to give a shout out to my selection committee, which included myself, Erica Ramos, the Director of People Services, Kathy Kelser, our accountant, Tony Perrine, our business office support specialist, and Marie Hoppy, Matt's assistant for buildings and grounds. We work together to do the reviews of all the proposals. You see the criteria that are we had to evaluate all the proposals on, and each proposal I searched the binders last time. They're all 100 pages. So we go through and we score each vendor on a scale of 0 to 100. And after we did that, the leader with the winner with 83.12 points was Airmark, our current vendor. So we would like to recommend that we would remain with Airmark. And again, as a reminder, while this can go on for 5 years, it is a 1-year agreement and then 4 additional 1-year renewals by the board. The board can go out to RFP anytime, and I beg that you don't again, but until we have to. But anyway, nonetheless, that's how the process works. And so we would look to, again, for Airmark for the upcoming school year, and then again, potential 4 more years.
I'm just curious, as I look at the grid here, and I noticed that Earmark involvement of students, staff, and patrons had the lowest score, as much as the cumulative is the highest. Will you then have conversations with them associated with that weak area?
And she was on there.
Yes.
May have dumped, she's down there. Michelle is here, and Molly is actually online. I didn't talk to Michelle, but Molly and I met once DPI approved the contract, and we did discuss a few of those things.
Okay.
One of the areas was just kind of ensuring that we were getting more student feedback. And so they're actually, as part of their proposal, they're proposing using a new app to share information. I don't know, I forgot what the current one is called, but they're moving to something called NutriSlides, which amongst other things, one of the advantages that it has is that parents who have the app on their phone, if you have specific food allergens, you can select those allergens, and then it'll clear the menu and just show you like what your kid should eat, you know, what they can eat, what they can't eat. But through there's more of a feedback loop so that kids can be responsive about specific meals, like, I really like this, you know, and give it a thumbs up kind of thing, or they didn't really like something to go down. I know right now Michelle does get a lot of personal feedback. I think she has great connections with the kids. And so I don't think, you know, they're not hesitant to say
They're
things
not.
to you.
They find me in my office, they'll stop me in the hall. So I do hear from them. We take that very much into consideration.
That's
I
good.
walked down the hall the other day with a student who had an idea for a pizza. I said, let me see if I can make that happen. So just, nothing like formal yet, but they do find me. Like I said, they know who I am walking down the hall. We
That's
did
a
a
good
public
thing.
salad bar today. I got a lot of good feedback from that. So,
Great.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and just to clarify, I mean, we've had a really good relationship with Airmark
Yeah.
for the last 5 years, and certainly they've had to navigate, you know, moving into our building right as a referendum was being completed, navigating a pandemic, and all the things that went into that. And they've been a really good partner for me. I think so I'm certainly happy that we're able to continue with them. But it's, you know, every time you do this, you can also kind of revisit, like, what are we doing really well and where can we improve? And so we'll continue to have those conversations and continue to try to make the program as great as it can be. And so that's some of the feedback that we get. When we score in certain ways, we share that with them, and we'll be we're having more discussions as we approach the next week. So.
Right, and then the other part I looked at was because those kind of seem like when you talk about the involvement of the students and the staff, and then the last piece is the menu selection and everything else like that. Those were the 2 lowest areas that they had or whatever. So, they'll be looking at that as well too, like the menu selection part and food quality.
Right. And one example was that I know when they brought their food samples, they shared with us a new chicken patty that they're slowly rolling out, and to a person that was a really good product. And so it's not completely in use right now, but that was part of it, is to see that now on a regular basis. And so part of their proposal does involve investing in additional items of higher food quality, which is, again, part of the conversations we have. So again, not unexpected. In fact, I pointed out those very 2 things to Molly, and like I said, we had a great conversation. And so we're already on track for, things that they're already looking at and things that we'll be implementing next year.
Sounds great. Oh, I just get her to the line.
Yeah, I don't know if she wanted to say anything or not, but I know she's listening in, so, but.
And then we got in person.
We have Michelle as well.
Yep,
so
I'm
just-
here. Can you hear me?
I
Can you hear me?
will say that we have moved to the all white meat chicken patties. So both spicy and the original ones, which are 2 of the most popular. Can you all see me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can see you.
The most popular items on our menu. So that is, we are not transitioning to that any longer. We are now 100% blatant.
So I'm just curious. Were the other folks who scored so much higher for student involvement, like what were they doing? Like bringing the kids in the kitchen to cook or they? What was the stark difference?
Well, some of it, and another thing that we talked about too was the opportunities for students to engage in cooking activities. And that is something that a lot of companies say that they'll do. You know, and again, the presentations are always fascinating. And so knowing what Kathy, who had been a part of the last 5 years ago, had been a part of it, she would comment and saying like, I see certain things happening, and it wasn't about Airmark, it was about other vendors saying, oh, I see that they say this happens, but I don't remember any of this when they were here previously. So there's always a little bit of sizzle in the presentation piece, you know, of what they offer and making sure that it comes to fruition. But some of those other companies did offer different things and had more deliberate like cooking classes that they would offer for kids and things like that. We just, at the end of March, had a CLC family pizza night. So that was a start of that here that we're actually starting to see. And that was something that Michelle and I discussed and brought in because that's also part of the CLC program to have that kind of family engagement piece. So things like that, we're gonna be doing more of that. And that was just something that was more evident in some other proposals that we just hadn't gotten to, you know, really incorporate this year with our current situation. So again, situation where we see something that, hey, we could do some other things here. Let's look to improve on that, and everyone's in agreement that that's what we're going to work on for.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just like, okay, I've heard great things. So like, what's missing? Like, okay.
And I don't even know who he included it, but she did hot chocolate with a group when I was here and some other things. So she was very active with the kids with Airmark specifically.
Yeah. I think the other piece that's important about Airmark from the student perspective is Shavala Brown has this culinary kitchen. She wants to bring that in as another trade for students. But Airmark has an opportunity for students to be able to work in the kitchen. And when they graduate from high school, they have an opportunity to potentially be hired by Airmark. But for however long they're with Airmark, I don't know what your timeline is, Michelle, but if they're with Airmark for a certain period of time, then they will pay for them to go back to school and a college degree if the children so choose as well. So that's also intriguing to us in terms of working with our students, knowing that we don't have $1 million for kids.
After they're an employee, I have to look into more details of it, but we do offer, it's not a tuition reimbursement program. It is, they pay the tuition up front. They have to get into ASU, Arizona State. Their online classes, certain programs are offered. But it is a Airmark employee in good standing. It's strictly for our hourly staff. So like I'm not included in that program. Just as a way to further their education, complete a degree, get a degree, whatever they want to do. So that is available too. I believe they have to be at least with us 6 months.
6 months.
Yep, that's correct, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Or Molly, did you have anything else you wanted to add? I know I kind of cut you off there. You started.
No, that's okay.
No, that's okay.
Thanks for letting me
Thanks for
join virtually. I'm hearing myself echo, so if I'm delaying, that's why. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I know I've been involved in Brown Deer since, our partnership began 5 years ago. And as Kevin mentioned, it's been sort of a, interesting 5 years just with coming in with new kitchens and then, COVID and everything that happened. So I think, the first 5 years of a partnership are always, take some time for us to get our feet beneath us and develop the partnerships and all that. But I know we're certainly committed, and Kevin alluded to the conversations we had. And I will say, I think when you ask, what are other companies proposing that we're not, or I just want to say that I certainly know that there's nothing others are doing or say that they can do that we can't. So we're open to any and everything, and certainly we'll bring ideas to Kevin or to the board in terms of student involvement and student feedback. Certainly the students are our customers, and feedback is a gift. So we certainly we have an active survey right now, actually. It's going on until the middle of May. And again, that involves parent feedback as well, actually at the elementary level, and then direct student feedback through surveys at the middle and high school. So I think also I'll just mention that, Michelle does a lot of things that we don't always communicate that we're doing. So I did share with Kevin that I think sometimes we're not great at telling our story in terms of, whether it's informing the board or getting it out on social media to show, what we do every day with students or special events, and things like that. So I think we'll also do a better job of doing that so that the board and the community are aware of the partnerships and the things that we are doing, and celebrate those things. So we're certainly committed. We're grateful for the additional year and hopefully 5 years of partnership and beyond. So thank you for the opportunity to be within your district, and we certainly love being in Brown Deer. So thank you again.
All right. So with that being said, anyone have any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Aramark as the food service management company vendor for the 24-25 school year.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Farrington. Your first motion. All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you very much. Ms. Robinson, motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? You can see that all in favor will raise hand and or aye. Any opposed? You can see that motion carries unanimously 7-0. And I'd like to order a fruit pizza and stuff for our next board meeting.
Let me know.
All right. No, I just did.
Only one.
Okay, two. Dang.
Send me an email.
Will do. All right. Let's go on to our next item. Let's go on to item F. All right. The safety update, Matt. E, I'm so sorry. I thought I went from food to trying to go to Europe. Okay. All right. Safety update, Matt.
I didn't feed them.
I know, exactly. Good evening, board. Just a quick couple of updates on safety. I just got confirmation just before the board meeting that we are going, the program for the middle high school's door security is going to be launched as of tomorrow. We will have a tech on site on Thursday to get any of the little nuances that may come or arise from having the new sirens and door pops put on to get those programmed properly or reprogrammed if need be. So that's a quick update. That email actually was being typed up right before the board meeting. It'll be sent out right after the board meeting to all the staff just to let everyone. Then let's see here. Do you guys have any questions about that? Okay. Next, a little bit of a safety update. We had the tornado drill that was done on April 11th. We found a few flaws that needed to be addressed. I did some recalculations, talked to EMC, which is the company that we work with, and had I am in the works of getting all of the maps redone to make sure that our children are adequately safe and not packed in like sardines in some of the spots.
Are you talking about building maps, the facility maps for each one of the buildings?
Correct. For each room, there's directions on where they need to be going and how many, what rooms are going where. This last round, we've been taking notes, and we got down to the middle school this last tornado drill. Last year I had to redo the high school. This year we did the middle school. The elementary school seems to be fine, but we'll keep doing the process until we get it right. The last time that this was done was during COVID, so we weren't at 100% staffing and children at that time, so we now are at 100%. So some things needed to be adjusted to make sure that our children are safe. So we're in the midst of doing that. We should have the new maps hopefully sooner than later.
Correct.
And then after that, just having my regular meetings with Kara, Kevin, Officer Oleg, the team to help the Raptor process get up to date so that we can get all the teachers up to date, like Kevin and Kara both were mentioning earlier. We continuously have monthly meetings on top of the meetings that we have during PL sessions with our safety team as well. So that's just a couple small updates on my end, and I'll make it short and sweet for you guys.
All right. Board members, any other questions for Matt regarding safety? All right. Thank you very much, sir. All right, let's go on to our next item, our item F. Discussing approval of the 2026 European field trip.
Yeah, you have Ms. Leah Racky, who was on this trip, journey. And so this is very much like the last trip, that you approved before, going to a different location. And the difference is the vouchers will not be available in 2026. But she will also, provide additional information, in a short and succinct way.
Again, good evening. The presentation is a little bit shorter than last time. I really want to emphasize on the trip itself. Because it is a little bit different than the ones we've looked at previously. This is actually a brand new trip too. Just with the success of our last trip, we filled up the whole bus in less than 24 hours. So, and with many parents emailing me and contacting me and students still wanting to go on the trip that did not have maybe the availability at that time, or they were not able to sign up in time. Principal Brown and I met, and we thought that'd be a great idea to offer another trip in 2026 for students to still get that exposure, to still learn internationally and travel internationally. And so the trip we decided on is it working? Oh, there we go. Oh, there you are. So a little bit, introduce myself again. My name is Mia Radke. I am a social studies teacher at Brown Deer High School.
And second year? First year.
First year here, yes. This is my first year here. This is from my previous school. I took about 55 students to Washington DC for a week.
Not the same screen.
It says I'm sharing the screen.
No, it's not the same screen.
No, because ours is just straight.
Oh, it's one behind.
Okay.
It's not showing the slideshow, it's showing the presentation.
All right. So, I don't want to do presenter mode, but this is what happens when we put slides. So I don't know how to get out of presenter mode. Anybody a PowerPoint person?
Under this, where it says display setting. You click on that little carrot.
I might need to, like in the.
Yep, so go back to slideshow.
So I have some questions. I'm not sure are you gonna talk about who you're targeting, what children and all that stuff?
Is that virtual?
Yeah, here it is. Sorry.
Yeah, in 2 years, that quick.
Yeah, so just like I said, a recap, my name is Mia Radke. I teach 9th and 10th graders at high school. I have traveled previously with other students. This is from my Washington DC trip where I took my middle schoolers at the time. For about a week, we were in DC. The trip that I am proposing tonight is true. No, it's not. Okay, I will do it. Yeah. No. There you are. Okay. Is the African diaspora in Western Europe. After meeting with Principal Brown, we decided that this would be a great trip for our students to go on. We wanted to have a mix of students actually being able to tour and also having a cultural impact and tour too. So this trip goes to 3 different countries and 3 different major cities. One's in Paris and Madrid. Both London and Paris have long, rich histories of Black culture and influence that are essential to the cities themselves. So while the students are there in those cities, they would also do tours that are Black culture and influence focused, along with going to specific hubs in those cities too. They will go into diverse neighborhoods, visit Black-owned businesses, take part in workshops, exploring the contributions of Black figures in British history, and discuss how our differences strengthen our communities. Enrollment, this trip would be offered to current freshmen and sophomores at the high school. And the reason why I'm only targeting these two specific grades instead of adding 8th grade was because our previous trip, I did not know I was going to get this much of a positive feedback and this much interest in the trip. So that's why I included all 3 of those grades. However, for this trip, I would like to look at these 2 specific grades because I would really like to have those 2 grades get the chance to go on a trip before having those middle schoolers go up, because I would like to continue to offer these trips to our students. So I'd like to focus on these 2 grades so that they get the opportunity to go, because I did have a large portion of sophomores and freshmen that were not able to get on this trip. And I would like to give the opportunity first to families and students that went to the original 2025 meeting, shown interest, signed up, and went to the meeting itself, to have the first opportunity to enroll in this trip too. So like I said, I'm planning on having this meeting from 6 to 8, and then families that attended the 2025 enrollment meeting would get an email later on that night. And then the other families who did not attend the other 2025 meeting would get that email out the next morning.
So I'm curious,
Sorry. Yes.
will they be freshmen and sophomores when this is offered or at the time of the trip?
No, this is current freshmen, sophomores right now.
Okay, so then they'll be
Juniors,
sophomore. Oh, they'll be juniors and seniors by then. Oh, okay, okay.
Can I ask a question on clarification what you said? Are you saying then that the people that went to the meeting but didn't get on the trip are going to have first priority?
Yes.
Yes, that didn't get on the first trip.
Yes,
Thank you.
that showed
That's-
interest. We also have
Thank you.
about 8 or 9 students on the wait list too.
Okay, so then they would get.
They would get
first
first.
trip. Okay, great. I love that.
I went to the meeting,
Sounds
showed
good. Thank you.
interest, signed up, so I would like them to have the first opportunity.
That's
And there are,
fair, yeah. Thank you.
yeah, of course, there are 43 spots for students. However, say we do not fill those 43 students, I would have no problem including 8th graders again. But right now, I would like to look at just primarily freshmen and sophomores. These are the travel dates we are looking at, July 21st to 30th, 2026. However, the travel dates are from July 18th to August 2nd. Majority of the time you do get those specific travel dates that you requested. However, based off of looking at how many people are traveling, looking at hotels and flights, they give you this kind of time to make sure that they can get all of our students on the same flight, or that they can book all those hotels up. A little bit more of the itinerary itself. So we would take an overnight flight to London. They would take a walking tour of London. So they would look at the London Bridge. They would go on the London Eye, Westminster Abbey, Big Ben. And then they would go to a Broadway performance and visit Brixton, which is an Afro-Caribbean culture hub in a neighborhood. It's an ethnic enclave in a part of London. And they'd take a guided tour of that too. And they would take a workshop on Black contributions to British society, culture, and history. They would take the Eurostar trains. They would go underneath the Channel Tunnel, and they would go into France. And then they would take a walking tour of the Latin Quarter, go on a river cruise, take a tour of the places in iconic views in Paris. They would go to the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa, fly to Madrid, go on a walking tour of the city. They would explore Madrid, go to a flamenco dance workshop. There also is a an African drum workshop too, that they would also be participating in too. Explore Toledo and then fly home on day 10. These are some of the sites they would see, such as Buckingham Palace, Madrid, the London Eye. The bottom right corner, that is Brixton, that's the Afro-Caribbean culture hub, and the ethnic enclave in London, and then the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre.
Brixton, like one of my most favorite ones.
Oh, really?
Oh, very much.
I researched it. Everyone has such phenomenal things to say about it.
Right, and so super easy to get to.
Fabulous.
Some of the food that they would sample while they are there. What's included, around for airfare, hotels, not, hostels. Regional styles meals, a tour guide who is with us from the moment we land. So when we leave in the airport, which is really, really important, and they're a local tour guide too. So this would be someone who would be from, my guess is probably London, or someone who's from Paris or Madrid that would be there the entire time. We have a motor coach bus, so it's not a regular bus, but it's the fancy one that has the bathroom. Yes, it's always great. We have local tour guides too. So while we would be touring, we would have our EF tour guide. And if we're doing, like I said, the walking tour of London, we would get someone who is born and raised in London giving us the actual tour. So majority of the time, we'd actually have two guides with us that take us through these cities. And then we also would have guided sightseeing tours of any other attractions we would go to. Entrances and landmark tickets are also included too. Passports are not included, so this is something that the students would have to get on their own. If there's any baggage fees, tips for local guides, and some snacks and some meals. This is the payment plan we are looking at. Since it is places like London and Paris, the pricing is a little bit higher than looking at our last trip. The places we were looking at previously were a little bit, I would not say cheaper, but Eastern Europe, they tend to be a little bit more affordable versus going to London and Paris. They are some of the biggest tourist areas in the world. And so because of that, the price is a little bit more. But since we are launching this so easy, it allows us to have those equitable prices for our students so that we can take all those kids to experience this trip. And with fundraising too, I'm actually doing a SNAP Race fundraising right now with my current trip too. And I have students that are participating in those fundraisers too on top of it so that we can get these monthly payments down and kind of start early so that they're a lot cheaper as we go throughout, before we go to our tour. That's it. Does anybody have any questions for me about the trip? Yes. How many chaperones will you have? So it's a 6-to-1 ratio, so 7. Including myself, so I would need 6 other people.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Knowing what happened with Germany when COVID happened, what contingencies are in place with the trip should something happen with the world and we're not able to travel at that time? So would they get refunds, credits? Like, how would that work?
So like for currently, like if a student on my 2025 trip decides to cancel, like how would that work with receiving the money back or?
Just can't go.
Outbreak and you gotta cancel.
There's COVID 2.0.
Oh.
Is there contingency written in the contract for
There
that?
should be some, I'm not entirely sure because of the case of, say like if COVID did happen, I know like what would happen if a student decided to cancel right now, how that would work with the money they would receive back. I don't know, like in the case, like we said, if lockdown happened or there was an outbreak of COVID, what would happen? I know that there are COVID-19 protocols that EF has, but I haven't really fully looked at them. If you would like that information, I can email it to you.
Do we have the same rep, Mia, for the?
Yes,
We do.
Abby, yeah, I
So
can,
we just reach out to her and then I can
I can
send
ask
an email.
Abby if she can.
Okay.
let me know and
And I
stuff
think
about
COVID was just an example that she used, but any type of shutdown that could occur, what's written in the contract that says how that would be handled.
Right. I know that there are insurance plans that the students have that they can to get that money back. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure.
It looks like some stuff for the traveler. It looks like there's global travel protection.
Yes.
Yeah. There is Protection Plus, there is risk-free enrollment period. It sounds like the company that you're working with are answering some of the questions that you had. And,
Most often though, on individual basis, like,
Right.
you know, if you have individual circumstances that occur, but if you had something that caused like no travel,
Yeah.
like something happened in one of the cities or something that prevented even having a trip, that's usually a secondary.
right.
Right, like I get the individual stuff,
Right.
but like I said, COVID 2.0, heck, World War III, we don't know what's happening right now. So I'm just curious what is in the contract related to that and how that company would deal with that.
Yes, I'm not sure about that at this moment. I know they have a protocol, if I can reach out to my trip consultant, I can give that information.
Right, so, we're looking to do a vote tonight, right? Okay, so if I could get a motion, for this.
Yes, VP Robinson, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2026 African Diaspora in West Europe field trip as presented.
All right, thank you. Director Macon, can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? I'd like to thank Mia for bringing this forth. Feel like she's been here forever. It's really she's in her first year. So thank you for bringing this forward, Mia, for our students.
And I hope you guys will see me quite a bit in the future too, because I don't plan on doing this, so, yeah. I think this is a great.
The parents really like that. I've heard really good feedback.
Thank you. I know, I can't wait. I mean, I think they knew that something was happening, so they, and kids coming up and asking me, and I'm like. I'm like, no, I didn't say anything. I didn't approve. I was like, shh, nope, my lips are sealed. So thank you so much. I'm super, super stoked to.
Thank you.
Know about it.
And I'm still waiting to get on that chaperone list.
Okay. Yes, I meant to, I'm not stuck with this entirely, like Director said as a team, so I was wondering if you wanted to discuss that with the board or just one-on-one with me, but.
Yeah, in reference to the team that's going.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, ayes have it, motion carries 6-0. Thank you so very much.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I tried to vote as well too. I apologize. I tried to vote as well.
You
You gone, but you're not gone.
All right.
Unanimous, so.
Yep, so 7-0 now. All right, let's move on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next item, we are item G.
Yes, we do have, the executive summary was posted and you have representatives from UWM. Ms. Brown reached out to University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee to, see if there was a potential for a partnership with the UWM Gear Up program. And, they are in the, well, let me back up. So UWM Gear Up program actually wanted to include Brown Deer in their last grant writing process. We, however, did not meet the free and reduced lunch threshold. So they had to hold off. And now we meet the threshold, which I believe is 51% at this
7.
for the grant.
The threshold.
57, correct? I thought it was 57.
That's what we're
57.
at.
The
Threshold is at least 50% of the population.
Correct. And so, we do have representatives from, UWM on the call with us. And right now what we're asking, the board to approve is allowing us to be a part of the grant. It has not been approved yet, but once approved, Brown Deer would then be considered a partner and then we would partner up with UWM. I think it's a wonderful program. As a former Upper Bound director and talent search director and having written Gear Up grants before, it really is a nice program that our students can benefit from. And so what we're asking for tonight is approval to be considered as part of the grant, which is due May 7th. That's why I had to get it on the agenda. Their grant is due May 7th. Hence, we're bringing it to you this evening because we wouldn't see you again prior to that. So we do have representatives. Ms. Weathers is on from UWM with us tonight. And so Ms. Weathers, if I missed anything, please feel free to chime in. And we also uploaded the information to Board Book. So we thought this would be a nice addition
to our school district in terms of post-secondary education and having those additional opportunities for our students in partnership with DWM.
Okay, thank
Ms.
you.
Weathers?
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. I can just run through, I have a few slides I can show you and I could just kind of talk my way through it also. As Dr. Kelsey Brown mentioned, this is a federally funded grant from the U.S. Department of Education. And the whole idea of the grant is to provide support to students in obtaining a secondary school diploma and to prepare and for them to succeed in post-secondary education. So Gear Up has three main objectives that they work with. One is increasing academic performance, increasing the high school graduation rate, and increasing student and family knowledge of college entrance and costs and financial aid and whatnot. And so all of the services that we provide would surround those objectives. And some of the services are ACT preparation, Saturday Academy camps, workshops, summer academic camps, financial aid, scholarship sessions, STEAM activities, field trips, college awareness. And the idea is to have the Gear Up staff housed in the schools at least 4 days a week so that parents, teachers, and students have access to the advisors on a daily basis, whenever they need to. In past grants that we've had tutors, UWM students, we hire them as tutors, and they also come into the schools and they can provide tutoring during the school day or after school. And then we also provide summer enrichment, Saturday camps, career exploration. We take them on college visits, not just in Wisconsin, across the country. We've been as far as Atlanta, Florida, Philadelphia, DC, New York. So we have experience doing that. And this will be the second grant that UWM has had. We've had two in the past. The first one was in '99, and then we got that one renewed in 2006, and that went for 6 years. This is a 7-year grant. So what happens at the end of the last year of the grant, we will have our first set of seniors graduated, and then we would have our first set of college students will have completed their first year. And what we do is follow the students all through we start with the 6th and 7th grade cohort, and we follow that group all the way until their senior year, and then their first year of college. So the grant goes from 2024-25 to 2030-31. Any questions so far?
Please, we are gonna be in 2031. It's hard to think that.
Right, exactly. Me too.
Hey, Tay Unika, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Will they be doing the overnights on Saturdays for, the overnights in the summer as well? Will they put that
In the
part of
dorms,
program?
yes. Usually we have a 4-week summer program, and then the last week the students will stay in the dorms from Sunday actually through Friday.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
So this program is Afro Dear at UWM in different facets,
Correct.
meaning these different, but in all locations. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'm just not sure if I'm understanding it correctly.
Sure.
So I'm curious if we have a way that we determine who participates in the program. Is it a sign up? Is it a certain criteria?
When we start with the 6th and 7th grade, every student that is a 6th or 7th grader is a part of that program. Whether they have filled out a form or not, they are still a part of the program, and we just follow that same cohort. Even if new students join, like maybe in 7th and 8th grade, they're still a part of the cohort as well.
That's good. And we seek parent permission prior to, correct?
Correct.
And there's an orientation to parents, particularly those new parents.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
This is the program. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we get involved with parent involvement as well. We come up with ideas, or we work with the school staff to come up with ideas on if let's say if one of your needs is to increase parent involvement, we can help with that. We can sponsor some things. Parents can go on the college tours if they want to. So we work with the parents as well.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
All right, very good. I would like to ask for a motion on this item at this time.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the UWM Gear Up partnership with middle and high school students as presented.
Right, and a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, Dr. Beadle. Any further discussion on this item? All right, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0. Thank you so very much and congratulations. Looking forward to the
Yeah,
new
that's
program.
great.
Thank you. Looking forward to working with you all too.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you all for saying that. I think it's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. I didn't, you want to do all the stuff with the kids. Okay. Up next is discussion and approval. Discussion and approval of appointment of school board member for CISA 1. Board of Control and Annual Convention of School Board Delegates.
Right. I know in the
Yes, let me
past we did have Doris, Ms. Macon actually represented us last year in relationship to being the representative for CISA 1. So again, I don't know exactly, Ms. Macon, if you'd like to be able to describe the experience of doing that, and then we could talk about, and then Ms. Robinson can ask who would be like to make a motion to fulfill that position.
I've done it 2 or 3 times now. I did it when I was on the board before. They feed you a light meal. You vote on officers. I just didn't really feel like Round Deer. I mean, I guess it's important for us to be there, but I really didn't feel. It seems like everybody knows everyone. The school districts are a lot closer. I was the only Black person there. I just felt like everyone kind of knew one another. They've been doing this type of work for a very long time. I don't know how we would become a little bit more engaged. I don't know how we would become more engaged.
We're required though to have someone.
Yeah, we're required to have some, if you don't show up,
In the past, Dr. Gary Williams, who was a former board president, he was actually on the board of control, so he would have been there at all the CISA meetings. So I mean, you have that option if that's something that, a member wants to. The requirement is to be there for the annual meeting and to do it once. But if someone is interested and wants to be a part of the whole CISA organization management, that is an option. You can be nominated and get elected.
Well, it's in Pewaukee, and that's where, now I don't know how he got elected. That's pretty cool that he did. Because it just seems like to me, everyone pretty much knew one another. They knew who they were gonna vote for. And so everybody comes in and they're like, oh, okay, Bob, it's Bob. I'm gonna vote for Bob. And it's usually like only 1 or 2 positions. It's really like the terms. I don't know what the length of the terms are. I do think it's important for us to have representation, but I just don't know. I don't know if it's because of where we're situated that we're not connected with some of the other schools, or whether or not the other schools are connected in a different way. I'm not really sure, but
I was invited to new board members, and it was at Pewaukee, and you're right, they did know everybody, but everyone was new at that one. And she was explaining this, and she was just saying that, it's good to come and bring whatever, we may have that needs to be voted on. I was also the only person of color in the room, but I'm a nurse, so I'm used to being the only,
Yeah.
person of color a lot of times when I'm at conferences and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and the same thing for me. I mean, I lived in Madison. And so, and was the only underwriter. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying there's a collaboration that they have. Now, I could do some research to find out whether or not, like Kevin says, you can go, but I don't know whether or not we have anyone who has the flexibility to be able to go every time there's a meeting. And so that might be why he was able to be voted on. But like I said, I just think that there's some collaboration with the people that are on that side of town that are together. If nobody else is interested in going, I guess I will go again. It is kind of a trek to go to Pewaukee. It's not around the corner. And you sit there and they do voting, and then they finish the vote, and then the people who are voted on, or the people who've already been voted on, they go to another meeting. So basically, you're just sitting there for the purpose of voting.
And representation.
Right, the required
So they go
representation.
to the meeting, you sit, and then they come back and you're still.
No. They talk, and then they say, okay, Lisa Walker has been nominated. Will you vote for her? Everybody votes that's gonna vote. You vote for whoever gets the most votes, and then they go off to a meeting and you go home.
So you're,
And just so you have the dates, it is Tuesday, May 21st at 5:30. Do you all have that information?
Yeah.
Okay,
Tuesday,
May 21st at 5:30.
so it.
Okay, Cecil.
Yes, said.
All
it's
right.
not on this piece of paper.
Sure,
It's
it's the first, the second sentence.
It's on May 21st, is a Tuesday,
Yeah,
Yes,
5:30. You have the address?
it's just Cecil one.
Okay, if someone could send that information to me, that would be great.
do you have this sheet? It's all the information as
I
well.
looked through everything. I don't remember seeing it.
No, okay.
You just have Word docs too.
Oh, wait a minute.
Do we have a meeting?
So it's like the 14th and the 20th.
Oh, I got all these things.
I drove all the way from Mississippi. Do every other week. It's not the second.
I think so.
Second and fourth.
Okay, so are you saying that you would be willing to do it? Yes, okay, so.
Okay, so we have interest on Dorothea. Is anyone else interested?
I happen to be on vacation that night, so I can't even make that meeting. I'll stay on the rec department.
Okay, so.
All right, so then can I get a motion for the appointment for Director Bacon?
Madam VP, I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Dorothea Bacon to the CISA One Board of Control, designee for the annual convention of school board delegates pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 116.02, parent 1, parent A. As presented tonight.
Right, thank you. Daniels and Ashley, second. please.
I'll second.
Right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor with aye. Is Todd still on? He is not. Any opposed? Okay, so then the motion carries 6-0.
I got 4 positions.
Okay, let's move on to the appointment of school board committee assignments. First would be SWSA. That's currently,
It's Todd.
that's Todd. Okay, that's Todd, so then he's going to be there by default. All right, and then WASB.
Too.
Yeah, both of
Okay,
those.
President.
Yeah.
So which one are you?
I
doing,
thought you were
Felina?
WASB.
I'm doing the new
Yeah,
WASB. I'm doing WASB. He does the first two and I do WASB. Didn't I say WASB?
Yeah,
No.
she said WASB, yeah, she did.
Oh, she did say WASB?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think that's why, yeah, Felina's doing it.
Did I blank out? No. I saw two, I thought you said the legislative update. No, I'll do D.
Okay.
Okay, so you wanna stay on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. I currently do Ed Foundation, but is anyone else interested in that committee? Then I guess that I will remain for that one. And Madam VP, may I just suggest if anybody else wants to do WASB? I don't need to do it. Okay,
I'll stay on the rec department.
all right.
No one else wants to join the
I'll do
rec
WASB.
meetings.
Nobody else. So we will leave all of those as they currently are for the next year then. All right, discussion and potential action to implement the district's total base wage offer. That was offered to BDEA on April 15th. Mr. Cleary.
Yes, so as I alluded to in the business office update, again, the negotiating committee of Dr. Fiedel and Peterson and met with the BDA last week on Monday and came to a tentative agreement. It's was slightly different than what was discussed with the board earlier. Basically, there are three tiers of what's happening under the bargain portion of it. All staff members moving up a step on the salary schedule as it currently exists. Those teachers who are entering, actually, I take it back, there's 4 pieces to it. So that's part one. Part two is that teachers who are entering either their 4th, 9th, or 15th year of service would move an extra step. We're calling those retention steps, kind of to give some milestones for teachers to kind of look toward for an additional increase. This year only, as part of it last year, we gave everybody year 4 and up an extra bump. This year, we're giving that catch-up bump to the ones in the 2nd and 3rd group, so that from those who are in their 10th year or later would get a bump. And then we're also adding a certain amount to each cell under the bargaining piece. Those 4 pieces together come to a total cost of $313,599, which is 4.12%, which is the maximum CPI for 24-25. So that's the bargain part. And then we're also adding an additional $613.61 to each cell. That is considered supplemental pay. That's outside of the bargaining, and that's something the board is offering. One of the goals, again, is to continue to increase all of the cells on the schedule. So this will take our starting salary as a first-year teacher to $45,500. And not that long ago, it was $40,000. So we've made some pretty good strides in trying to increase that and become more competitive with our neighbors.
5, you said?
Correct.
Thank you.
So the total cost of and so that cost for the supplemental increase is $76,701. Total cost for across the board is $390,300. $390,300. Are there any questions on the agreement? And so this, and I will say, again, this is the first time in probably forever that this was done as one school year was ending in advance. So we're going to be able to issue teacher contracts in a couple of weeks with updated numbers on them. This is all in an effort, one of our pillars or one of our areas of emphasis with our strategic plan is staff retention. So, and attraction. But we want to make sure that our staff recognize how much we value them. And so we're trying to do this early to get, again, to get rid of some of that anxiety or uncertainty as to what am I going to make next year. We generally have done it in the fall once we have the student counts. We're kind of, I keep using the word rolling dice, but I don't want to go too Vegas-y, but we're just kind of doing this in advance, being proactive in an attempt to, give our staff some certainty and hopefully alleviate the possibilities that people will start looking this is the time of year where people start looking for positions, hopefully we'll minimize that as much as possible.
So they'll start the year with their new salary versus getting the lump sum.
Go back pay, they'll know in a month exactly what they'll be making.
That's good.
So there are, and because of the legality of with Act 10 and what you can bargain, what you can't, there are two different motions. One is for the collective bargaining piece, and then one is for the supplemental pay increase.
All right, very good.
So this is just to qualify, this is also the first time now that we've exceeded CPI in a couple of years, because the last 2 years CPI has been so high and we weren't able to beat it. So we're actually, we came to the union with an offer that exceeded the 4.12%. With the max that we would have had.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you.
Collective effort.
Awesome. Okay, can I get a motion, please, for the total base wage?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the district's total base wage offer as presented to the Brown Deer Education Association on April 15th, 2024, pertaining to the terms of the 2024-25 collective bargaining agreement at a cost of $313,599.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Peterson. And a second? Second. Okay, thank you so much. Any discussion? So I'm just curious, if something were to happen and we did lose a couple of these teachers, does it matter that we have a specific amount?
This is the max amount, as if teachers do not return next year, that won't, they're locking in at this point, so any teachers that resign after this point, they're not included in it.
Okay.
The number theoretically will potentially go down of the actual costs, because there may be less we didn't have to get them.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? Right, motion carries 6-0. And I'd like to get a motion for the distribution of the supplemental pay as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the distribution of $76,701 in supplemental pay as presented to eligible teaching staff for the 2024-25 school year.
All right, thank you so much. And second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Thank you so much, Mr. Clement.
Thank you, and I'm sure the EDA will appreciate the cooperation with the board. So.
Absolutely. Glad that we could hopefully alleviate a bit of the tensions for this next school year. All right, up next is the budget update.
All right, so I did provide you with a abbreviated version of the budget draft, just focusing on funds 10 and 27. We'll walk through it relatively quickly tonight, but because again, this is all very, very preliminary, and this is not, you're not approving anything tonight. I'm just kind of showing you more of the sausage as we get, we're making sausage as I get through to June. We'll be continuing to adjust numbers as more information becomes available. There's a lot of things that are still to be determined yet at this point. So I will be just reiterating a few budget highlights. Again, the budget is very, very preliminary. This is the first of several graphs you can see between now and June. As a reminder that you will be approving a preliminary budget at the end of June before July 1st. And there's a lot of things that are just kind of projections right now, and some actual numbers may be coming in, which will help fill in the details as we get closer. I don't want to scare anybody, but I do want to highlight the fact that we've been talking about this for a couple of years now, the fiscal cliff. It is here. We are on the precipice of it. We are, though, I think in a pretty good position where it's not going to affect us immediately. So that's why we're taking advantage and kind of working the budget the way that we are this year. So I'm going to zoom in a little. See, when we say fiscal cliff, it's because all of the pandemic era funding is going away. So we will have spent all of it by September 30th. So it really won't be used much in 24-25. So that money will will no longer be available. We also have a property tax chargeback that we had this year of $241,000. That's not going to be around anymore. So there's a loss of revenue. We do have that $325 student increase, which as of now goes on to infinity, although there's a lawsuit now to turn that back. But even with that, that's just not enough to cover those, the loss of income, and it's not keeping up with inflation either. So in conversations with the board earlier this year, we did decide to go ahead and develop and presumably approve a deficit budget at the end of this process. Because we've had such a significant increase in fund balance, we have room to give back and make sure that we can utilize some of those funds instead of having to make drastic cuts that we don't necessarily need to do at this point. So, but I do want to start having this conversation out there that based on the numbers we're starting to see, this is not a long-term solution for us. And so it is likely that without additional financial support, it is likely that additional financial support will be required from the community at some point in the next 12 to 24 months. Otherwise, the significant cuts would actually have to happen. Or unless the state gets more generous in funding its funding as well. So we'll talk about that. And again, this year, fiscal year 24, the one that we're ending, that will impact fiscal year 25. How much of the surplus we have, whatever we can add back in the fund balance, just gives us even more room to pull back if we need to. So we'll continue to look at that. And we can also, again, slide some of the final ESSER $3 into the first quarter of the next year and spend on, as example, curriculum and get that purchase done before September 30th. We continue to have inflation and job market pressure that keeps our staffing costs pretty fluid. We did, as we just did, in an effort of retention, we've come to terms with the BDA, and so teachers are all set with their salaries for 24-25, and we'll continue to talk about support staff and the rest of the team as well. And then our staffing budgets will continue to be fluid as people resign or as people get hired. We fill in the holes, and so those actual costs tend to start to develop. I have placeholder numbers in for any open position, and it's always family insurance is always in there to budget, so it's always like worst case scenario. And if somebody comes in at a lower dollar amount and maybe doesn't take insurance, then we have significant savings for that person. Also, an important note, based on our estimate of equalization aid, it is very likely we're going to see a significant increase in equalization aid this year, which would mean that property taxes would likely be able to go down. I, however, would recommend that we keep them flat and use whatever cushion we have to over levy in Fund 39 as we did two of the last 3 years to defease debt, take advantage of that and kind of hold on to that amount, because that way, if we do have to ask for help down the road, we could do so with less of an impact on taxes. And we'll talk about that going forward as well. So that would be the recommendation. So even though you're going to see a tax levy decrease in Fund 10, my suggestion would be to hold on to it and use it for Fund 39.
Please.
So then we just talk about the timeline of the budget again. We have a preliminary budget July 1st. We'll have our annual meeting budget will be approved in August. That'll be presented at the annual meeting on September 26th. And then we do the final budget, or what's known as the original budget, in October after we get the third Friday count data, after we get the October 15th data, and that'll be approved by the board on the 22nd. So you're going to see 3 official iterations you're going to approve between now and then, but I'm also just going to share with you as other things develop. And then just a brief reminder of how our funds work in the fund accounting. In this version, and until we get to the June draft, you're going to just focus on funds 10 and 27, which are our main operational budgets. So we'll go quickly. I'll zoom out here a little bit. So we did an estimate of our head count. So these are the head counts, which is actually kids in the seats over the last 5 years, and then projecting forward. So I used the Baird cohort survival method to project that. And so we actually saw an increase of 4 students, I believe, or three students, 4 students, going from 1629 to 1633 next year. That was just natural current students. Now, we also added 40 some open enrollment seats. So when I add those in here as well, that's where we get to 1671. So you're seeing the class sizes level up based on having those additional students from open enrollment in. So we are projecting, as of right now, a membership FTE, which is, again, all of our students, it's all of our students in seats subtracting out open enrollment in, adding back open enrollment out. So all the students that are open enrolling out get counted in. You add summer school, you do some prorating, like a big pot, and then we get done and we come up with this number. And so the number is right now 1798, the plan for 24-25. And then for our purposes, we take a 3-year average. And because we've been seeing it pretty steady, we are projecting again another increase in the revenue limit, going up to 1769 for our 3-year average. Brief conversation about open enrollment. Again, we approved 48 new seats on the open enrollment inside. So now we are projecting to have 86 students. Again, we could have some students that are currently here decide not to come, so that number could be lower, but that would be the maximum number we would have. And based on the numbers, which are currently estimated, where we're talking about almost $9,000 for a regular education seat and almost $14,000 for special education, we are projecting total revenue to be about $785,000. Right now, we have 3 students with IEPs. It is possible that some of the students of the 48 that we have open seats could end up with IEPs and would be on the special education side. If they have, if their need is a program that we currently support and that we could admit them. If it's something that we don't currently do, then we would deny them and we give the seat to somebody else. So it is possible we may end up with a few more special education seats, which would increase that number. But we'll see. So I always just use the regular education as a budgetary. Yeah.
So do you know that number upon enrollment of that student? Can you determine if the student is a special ed student or a regular ed student?
They go through a process where they do ask for they will request IEPs.
Okay.
If the student has one, and then we'll look to see, and that's a discussion between the registrar and the director of pupil services to decide, can we fit that student with our current program? We don't need to add a staff member to bring them in. It's just if we can do what we have, then we can do it. And then open enrollment out, which is always fun. So last year we had at the when you approved the budget, we had let's get that here, number 232 students. We now currently have 258. So over the course of the school year, additional students have been a part of the program. Now, I don't know that they're students who were here and withdrew and went into the open program. It's also kids who may have moved into the village over the last few months and are open enrolling out back to MPS or some other school district. So we've seen that number continue to climb. So that total cost right now, we are anticipating it's going to be about $2.1 million in expense for open enrollment out for this school year. I did budget 2.250, so we're under budget, but that number just continues to grow and is fairly challenging.
So can you project that out right now in terms of what those numbers are?
Well, I use the same number, so we are going to take the seniors that pull out. We're going to remove them, but we are estimating otherwise it's a flat to accommodate for that. So in the numbers that I have, I'm projecting 240 some students, and then again I'll use the numbers for the number we have of special education and regular education and tally that up. So that's where I come to a number that is about $2.4 million for next year for open enrollment out. So it's obviously a huge piece. The net difference between those two now, that was one reason why we were able to add the extra seats. So now we're at about a $1.6 million net difference. So we're a little less than we were last year. So it's because, part of it is that all seats went up $344, and then we added a bunch of seats. So we're trying to balance it out a little bit.
That 344 gets added on every year.
It depends on it's all part of the budget cycle fact. And so DPI still calls it an estimate. So I don't know when they determine exactly what it is, but those are the numbers they're currently using. But it does, unless the legislature locks it in, it will go up on an annual basis. Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin, do we have a breakdown of where these seats are open at?
Yes, we do. The new ones or all of them?
The 48 new students.
Primarily, I can get you the full list from when we did it in January. Primarily, we did add a section back in second grade. That's why you see the 15 seats. Those are all almost exclusively new seats. We did also add in 6th and 7th grade. Our 6th grade class was low and our 7th grade class was low. We could have added more seats in 6th grade, but we decided not to go too far, in 1 year. So those were the 3 years where we saw the most bumps. Those 3 grades.
Mostly ninth grade, mostly middle school.
Yeah, mostly middle school, but then that second grade, and we had the board had the option of whether to add enough we added enough students, we're bringing a staff member back. That was the one grade, we had only 4 sections. Right, and so it is still a net gain for us, even though there will be an additional cost of having another teacher.
And then ninth grade too looks like, right? I have the numbers, Kevin. You want?
Yeah, ninth grade, no, because actually you can see 8th grade is carrying over to ninth grade, so we're not adding anybody. We added one 10th grader.
We have one at the 4th grade. We did this year, January, right? January 9th. Okay, so one in the 4th grade, or one student in the 4th grade, one in 5th grade, 2 in 6th grade.
No, that's not the right.
No?
No, I don't know.
Oh, these are the projections. Okay, never mind. Let me get the.
Here we had.
What we proposed to you initially.
Yeah, we looked at what the seats were, yeah. So I mean, it was, I want to say it was 10 or 13 in 2nd grade. It was 15 in 6th grade, 10 in 7th grade, and then we had 1 in 10th grade. And then there might have been one other, I think we had 1 first grader. You see, we can see when the numbers go up. I think we had 1 first grader, obviously 15, 1 in 4th grade, 2 in 5th grade. And it was primarily in 2nd, 6th, and 7th.
Yeah.
For the big. And then currently looking at where our open enrollment out is, we're at the 246 number. So again, open enrollment being kind of the tough part of this, but so then we take our membership number and we put it into our revenue limit formula. If anybody ever wants to come and look at the revenue limit formula in Excel sometime, I'm happy to show it to you. But basically, this is how we project what our revenue limit will be, which will be basically what we can levy under Fund 10. We take our new base revenue per member, which is going up $325, so it'll be $12,894 next year, with our new 3-year membership average of $1,769. That gives us a revenue limit of $22.8 million. So you see that part goes up $851,000. So that sounds good, but then the 241 goes away. We don't have that tax adjustment that we had a year ago, so that number is gone. And I am still waiting to get a better handle on the prior year open enrollment. What happens is again, the difference between our count in October and now, some of those students weren't counted originally. And so we have to go through the registrar and check to make sure the ones we counted, the ones we didn't. The ones that we did not count, DPI will give us an exemption this year to help pay for them in future years. So we'll get additional money. It's been averaging around $300,000, but I wasn't exactly sure where we were in the count. So I just kind of cut it in half just to be safe. But this 150 number is just a projection that may go up. So we'll leave it there. And then our voucher exemptions right now, the theory is that a lot of what happened last year, if you remember, we went from like $700,000 in voucher costs to $1 million. A lot of it was the huge increase on the per student side that the state provided in the budget. So the guess is that this is keeping the numbers flat, and it's just a smaller increase this year. It isn't as much. So hopefully it stays about the same, but this is one of those pieces of information that we don't find out until October 15th. I don't know how many kids there are. I don't know what grade levels they're in. It just DPI says, here's your number of voucher students, and that's what you tax for. We tax for that, and then we also have a matching expense that's exactly the same. So the reality is that any number that goes up and down just affects the tax levy, but I have to do a matching expense. So it isn't money to spend. So I kind of ignore that mentally that it's actually there. But you can see then using our little chart here of where our revenue limit potentially would be going up about $482,000. Again, pulling out that $29,000 increase for vouchers, you're looking at about $450,000 of new money to spend, which is not enough. But again, the good news is that, so you take our revenue limit with exemptions, and then you subtract out our equalization aid, which is projected to go up 12% to almost $16 million. And then you add our exempt computer aid and our personal property aid. So we're looking at total state aid of around $17 million, which would mean our tax levy could potentially drop 15%, or about $1.3 million, 0.279. So if we held on to that, that would be over $1 million to the fees. And then we'd have access to that in a future year, potentially with a referendum. That's where we decide to go. And again, just showing you historically how our revenue has shifted from state aid or from the tax levy to state aid. The bottom half of those bars are all state aid, and the tax levy has gotten significantly smaller. And again, as I noted here, it'll be highly recommended that the board recapture any tax reduction for Fund 10 with matching Fund 39 over levy for additional seasons. And doing so this year would minimize the impact of a future referendum tax. Then we have a few moments to just go over, again, early projections of our two major funds. So Fund 10, which is our operational fund, looking at revenue. Again, some of these things are, estimates at this point, making some adjustments. We are looking at right now, using these numbers, a potential loss of about $600,000 in revenue. Again, the ESSER aid going away, the after school grant goes away. Now, again, some of those dollars could be shifted into this year, and so it could show up, but there'll be a matching expense. So that is all part of it. And then there's a lot of pieces in here that have not been adjusted. So I did include some other notes. Our earnings, which is our bank interest, it's more reflective of actuals, but they are talking about rate decreases going forward, so I'm not going to go too far in increasing that. Just showing you that other local revenue includes our cell tower lease and co-curricular admissions into the buildings for sporting events. Our open enrollment revenue increase, as we talked about, is higher. Per pupil categorical aid is at $742 per pupil, but we have a higher pupil count. Other state revenue right now includes there's a mental health supports grant of about $55,000 in next year's budget. And then also educator effectiveness, which is about 10 that we have. We have our Perkins and Title III we get through CISA, so that's what those are. Again, federal ESSER 3 and the ARPA aid, it could shift into fiscal year 25, or we could spend it all this year, so that's why those are zeroed out right now. We're still waiting on other title aid and other federal aid to be decided. And then how much we spend on the COPS grant and how much we get reimbursed for that, that'll be part of our revenue next year. So any questions on revenue?
Can you tell me what the acronym is again, because I don't remember.
That's the American Relief Act, Pandemic Relief Act.
Yeah.
It's part of ESSER, and so that was that extra $400,000 that we received for after-school programming. And that's like the trip that we sent kids on spring break, that was paid for out then. And then looking at expenses, so then looking at employee salaries, where that's at, and health insurance, we have a 4% increase in health insurance and all of the other benefits that are involved with salaries. And then kind of going down the list of all the different categories that we're talking about. The biggest pieces are that the open enrollment going from 2.25 to 2.4 million as an expense, that's a big deal. Also trying to figure out what our Fund 27 transfers, which I'll talk about in a moment, that is scheduled to go up a little bit. So right now I have expenditures equaling $28,085,000, which is an increase. So you saw one went up and the revenues went down and the expenses went up. Expenditure notes, we just had the agreement with the BDA. I do have a budgeted increase for administrative and support staff, which is included. We did reduce the elementary school custodial staff. We have that's contracted this year. This will be a full year of that. So that's part of that budget. We do have our 4% increase, which you approved for health insurance premiums. And I'm keeping dental exactly the same, even though we're moving to self-insurance. We may have some savings at some point, but until we realize that we're just a budget plan for that. We do have, and this is what I just wanted people to be aware of. So we do have several positions right now which are being funded through ESSER, which will now have to shift to Fund 10. So we have our 3 SEL specialists, and that can partially be supported by the mental health grant funding. So that $55,000 would help there. We do have our 2 health room aides, we have our building substitutes, and we have our parent liaison. Those are all through ESSER. So those are all getting absorbed into Fund 10. So if we do talk about, if we have to look at certain things over the course of the year or in future years, we may have to decide what the priorities are with particular staffing roles. And again, as with all the hiring, as open positions continue to get filled or reopen, those staff budgets are going to change. Other things that are currently supported by ESSER or other grant funding, we have Strive 365. That's something that's been out there for a couple of years. We also have 2 contracted security personnel, and those costs are there as well. So again, as we look at what our tolerance is, we have to decide what we're comfortable moving forward with. Building budgets are currently flat. We have a 3.25% increase scheduled for pupil transportation. They did add a route on us this year as well, so I have to look and see where that's going to line up. So it did increase overall costs a little bit more. And the fuel surcharges have been a little dicey at certain points in time, so I have to kind of plan for that. I'm keeping utilities currently flat because as of right now, we're performing really well. I may have gone a little higher than I needed to last year, so that's good. And we also are, now that we have both the middle school and the elementary school kitchens separated, we can shift some funds over to Fund 50. So that's about $60,000 will get reduced out of that next year. Our curriculum budget is currently kind of on hold. We're waiting to figure out what we're exactly going to do. And this is the one like budget buster that may actually yet occur is this whole Act 20 piece and what we decide to do and how much it's going to cost. What we're certainly finding out is that with only 4 vendors that have been approved by the state to purchase curriculum for elementary school education for reading, they're not giving you discounts for pricing. So there are some pretty hefty quotes we're getting in right now in excess of $200,000 for elementary school reading curriculum. So that's the one thing that I can't predict yet because we don't know what we're going to end up selecting, but Dr. Glass will certainly be sharing that with you in the coming weeks. We'll have to look at athletic budgets because from a staffing standpoint, that continues to increase quite a bit. So I'm going to work with Gerald on that. I didn't change this back. The open enrollment payment budget, that's actually 2.4. So it's not 2.5. So it worked out a little better than that. Our venture expense basically projected flat. And remember, that's a wash so that whatever revenue we take in, we send it out. I mentioned about the property and other insurance. Our workers' comp is going up significantly, so those lines have all been increased. And then our special education transfer was updated based on our Fund 27 budget. So going to Fund 27, and again, just as a reminder with Fund 27, we get some of our money from either federal or state sources, and then whatever we don't fill that way gets transferred from Fund 10. It has to zero out at the end of the year. So right now, I don't have an estimate for categorical aid for next year yet. I don't know what our IDA allowance will be, so that's all kind of on hold. So basically, I'm keeping all of those revenues the same. When I look at expenses, the employee salaries and benefits are increased with our cost, with our raises implemented. Pupil transportation has a slight increase. Our purchase services is shifting a little bit. We did have this year a staff member that that left right at the beginning of the school year that we weren't able to hire for, and so that went to purchase services. That'll shift back into salary, so that's part of it. So there's still a lot of question in the special education budget, but if it stands at about a $4.3 million cost, then we'll have to have a fund transfer of $2.9 million in order to balance that out.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
But right now we filled all of our teaching positions, so that we kind of can project that.
No, we have not filled all. We still had openings from this year. Like I said, we had like our middle high school speech and language has been a contracted position all year. We tried for a while to find it, couldn't do it. We had to provide services. So we are posting for that again and hope to hire for next year. That's sort of the plan. We have had a couple positions where people have left and we've been filling in short term. So trying to accommodate what we had. Also things like we had Dr. Tracy, who's our literacy coordinator. She started in March. We tried to hire a couple times and couldn't find a qualified candidate. So that position was open most of 2024. She's obviously in place and would be here for the entire 24-25 school year. But we do have a few openings that we haven't filled yet, and we're trying to make sure that the ones that we've had open, carry through. The other big one is the operations manager, which was what Matt's role was before he took over as director. That's been vacant, and we've been using contractors for that. It's been hard to fill that position.
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking is like when you look at NPS and they look, to get their referendum passed or whatever, they had a slew of over 300 teachers that were missing. We don't have anything like that. I just wanted to get a general idea, 10 people, 15, 30, how many people are we do we have vacancies?
From a teaching standpoint, right, currently, I think we probably have, well,
Five.
yeah, it's less than five, yeah. Active teachers, we had an interventionist position, which we never filled this year. We're still trying to fill as a coach. So that's not, I mean, that wasn't directly impacting students. You know, we've had.
But I'm talking about the budget, impacting the budget. You know, because you're kind of going through the budget, I'm kind of like looking at, okay, how many positions?
I haven't
right now
eliminated- yeah.
We're saving.
We're saving this year, which will
Right.
help build up some fund balance, but those positions are planned to be filled going
Okay.
forward. Unless at some point during the year, we make a decision not to fill,
Okay,
you know.
so that's why I just wanted to kind of get an estimate of a number, 5, 10,
Yeah,
So-
less than five.
Yeah.
less than 5.
Less than five are open. And then we do have some resignation, you know, we have a handful of resignations for next year that we're also working. So, but those are currently still filled.
Okay, thank you.
And then again, a lot of the revenue I said is still trying to be determined. All the same things related to hiring or salaries and all that is relevant to Fund 27 as well. So it's a very fluid first draft of the budget. Then we get to the summation piece. So right now, when you take and add everything together, right now we are projecting a deficit budget of $993,000. Not ideal, but again, we do have some play. And also, I guess I do want to stress too that as of now, minus the Act 20 piece, this is really kind of the worst case scenario. And I would expect that as hiring is completed and other things are developed, that number will come down. And additional revenue may be found as well. So this is my, first attempt to try to go through everything. Sometimes you miss things on early drafts, but we will continue to go through, and I'm hoping that every time you see this, the number's a little bit. And then some important notes again, it's an early draft, as I just said. Things are going to change if we happen to get additional revenue or we reduce expenses in some way, that'll reduce the deficit. Staff openings, as they're filled with actual salaries, expenses usually get reduced. And then again, what the operational fund balance in total will be will depend on how this year ends. So I am projecting at a minimum, and it'll be more than this, but at a minimum, you're going to get the 241 back. And I think there'll be more. I don't want to say how much yet because it's still April, but I'm hoping it'll be more. And so again, every dollar we add in is a dollar then that, we pull out next year and we're in a better place than where we are right now. So, and then there's all sorts of things with claiming and how the final grant dollars come in and how much, what do we want next year to look like and what do we want to save? Because some of the things like Title I, IDA, you can roll over into the next year. So if we feel like we want more revenue next year, we can claim less, have a lower surplus this year and just use it next year. So my early projection for fund balance, again, based on where we currently are, for 23-24, I'm estimating again having that 241 go back in. So it puts us about $6.4 million. We'd be projecting then going down to about 5.4 by the end of the 2024-2025. Again, so what this means is, as we talk about things and expenses over the next several months and even past June, we may make decisions on whether or not if a position opens up, is it something we fill? Do we look for other ways of saving dollars? Do we delay certain expenses? When we decide about the curriculum, do we go with this price? Do we go with this price? These are all the conversations we have. I just want everyone to be aware of these are the realities of where we are right now. But again, I would say that most districts, or I should say many districts, don't have the luxury we have with the way that fund balance has been over the last few years. And so they're actually looking to cut. My theory was, we know that this current staffing helps our students and provides services that we need. Could we do more? Sure. Yes. I get requests all the time. Like, hey, can we add this? Can we add this? But we're not doing that right now. So we just thought, let's at least maintain services. And then going forward, we'll see what that looks like in a budget and what it actually comes out to. So that was a lot. But it's like a first step. I won't go through this in this much detail. I'll tell you what changes, but I just wanted to at least share with you. And if you have any questions now or at any point in time after reflecting on it, feel free to reach out or bring it up at work.
Just want to make sure Sharonda gets I have the right sheet for open enrollment, get your open enrollment questions answered. So at the first grade, we have 1 seat. Second grade, 15 seats. fourth grade, 1 seat, fifth grade, 2 seats, sixth grade, 15 seats, seventh grade, 10 seats, eighth grade, 3 seats, and 10th grade, 1 seat for the total for the 48. Just want to make sure you got your question answered. You're welcome.
I didn't have that part. Okay, so again, my plan is to continue to share this information with you. I'll send you get you another draft in May, and then, you'll have the complete budget in June, just at the starting point of where we'll be. And then we'll talk about it a lot over the summer.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Clemens?
With this 48 seats, that's cool to know. But, rumblings out in the community, they get the impression that we are just having open enrollment and it's kind of a free fall and anybody can come and everybody can come. Is there somewhere where we can communicate this information?
There's a section online called Open Enrollment.
Well, in that community,
They're helpless. They have to look.
me about that.
No, they have to look.
Yeah.
Just on the Facebook pages, people want to know about open enrollment. It's just, they're not informed.
Well, I was on Park and Rec, they just really went in on thinking that we had open enrollment that was like it was a free fall. And we had these astronomical, just out in the community, people talk about it all the time still.
Because they don't participate.
Exactly.
They hit me with the same stuff when I initially ran for the board. And I tell people all the time, like, if you aren't actively participating, please don't. Find the information before you come and asking questions, because if I can see if you're in meetings every week and you don't know information, but most of the people who complain and who spread the rumors and who are keyboard warriors never participate in anything.
Right. So.
I would strongly encourage the board. This will be an interesting year, where we'll have to tell our story and help people understand why we're making decisions we are, where the money is being spent and how that's all happening. It's gonna be really critical. And with a new superintendent that they're not familiar with, it's really gonna fall on those of us who've been here and board members to help share that story. So while I don't generally engage in the social media stuff, I do peek, and I see, and if occasionally if there's something that I feel is like completely incorrect, I'll chime in. But I always encourage people to, and you're certainly welcome to, if you don't want to answer questions, certainly tell them, hey, why don't you reach out to the school district, whether if it's a curriculum question, Dr. Glass or Pupil Services, Ms. Ramos, or me on a business side, or Matt, just get them in context so we can get an actual answer that's true out there, and make sure they understand what the reality is. 86 students, we've had more in the past, and it is, it's not even, it's not 10% of our group in there. It's closer to 5. So it's not that many. And again, the reason we added as many as we did, one of the things was to have 5 sections of second grade. We could have, had less students. The revenue would have been missed, and we're trying to balance again between having that revenue coming in and addressing the loss of other funding. So this was a discussion we had in January.
Well, and then I think also a lot of times the parents don't recognize that we lose a substantial amount of money when students do not stay on campus. When they leave us, they elect to leave.
Yeah.
They leave the district. We have to pay the school district for them to be there. And so the school district loses money too. And then property taxes could potentially go. Right. So I just wanted to get that balance out. So.
All right. Up next are board reports. We'll jump down to WASB update.
Actually, since the legislature is not in session, not a whole lot is going on more. It's a lot of information around after the election, new board member training. That's available for anybody. Chock full of trainings from being a first time board member to a veteran board member to anything else that you're looking for. So I would just encourage people to, if you're interested in some, very useful seminars relative to the roles that we play as board members, that's the place to go.
And you get cute little pins.
All right. Next is Ed Foundation. We will have approximately 16 students who will be receiving scholarships this year from the Ed Foundation. In addition to the various named scholarships that will be awarded as well. All of those will be awarded at the student, what is it called officially? The scholarship awards ceremony on Friday, the Friday before graduation. Yeah, so they'll receive that that's on May 31st for those awards to go out.
It's May 31st?
Yeah, right. That Friday. So usually at like 9 o'clock. Yeah. Yes, time. All right, Parks and Rec.
The Park and Rec, we did not meet. The April 2nd meeting was canceled.
Okay, and then for the board planning calendar, just a couple of things to call out there. Just want to make sure everyone have the correct meeting dates. May 14th and 28th are our meetings for May. Looks like we have STEAM Day happening at the elementary school on May 16th. High school prom will be on May 17th. And then graduation is June 1st. You have all of the rest of those that you can make note of as you'd like.
Can I add one? Sure. And that's my district administrative report. Just wanted the board to know that I will be at the WASDA Superintendent's Conference tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. So I'll be off campus. That's much in there.
Okay. Up next is motion to roll call vote and enter to closed session.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 19.851(c). The Board of Education may move into closed session for the purpose of discussion and potential approval of final teacher non-renewal notices, discussion and potential approval of the 2024-2026 administrator contracts, approval of February 10, February 17, 2024, February 24, 2025.
That should be a 4.
That should be a 4/20.
February 24.
Okay, I'm sorry. So let me start over. February 10th, February 17th, February 24th, February 27th. March 16th, 2024, closed session minutes. And a motion to return to open session to announce or take action, if any, and if appropriate.
All right, thank you so very much. Okay, we got a second by Director Bacon. And roll call, please.
Vito, absent. Daniels Ashley, present. Barrington, present. Baker,
Present.
Peterson. I thought we said aye.
Say what you know.
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Peterson.
Aye.
Robinson. Aye. Walker.
Aye.
And the vote is 6-0. We're going to closed session at 8:15. Yes. All right, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We hope that you enjoy the remainder of your evening.